And of course, he always gets it wrong. And again, not financial advice. He always gets it wrong. But yeah, now there's an ETF that's going to follow that and determine whether or not that there's money to be had by doing the opposite of what he says. And again, not investment advice. Don't go jump on the inverse Kramer bandwagon. Don't you invest how you want to invest. So that's our second news story of the day. Our third news story is some, potentially good news, depending on how you look at it. This is from the Oklahoma governor's office. Governor Stitt signs bill to prevent gender transition services at OU Children's Hospital and calls for statewide ban on irreversible transition surgeries and hormone therapies on minors. Today, Governor Kevin Stitt signed SB 3XX, which blocks funding to prevent gender transition services for minors at Oklahoma Children's Hospital at OU Health. The bill went into effect immediately upon the governor's signature. By signing this bill today, we're taking the first step to prevent children from permanent, gender transition surgeries and therapies. It is wildly inappropriate for taxpayer dollars to be used for condoning, promoting, or performing these type of controversial procedures on healthy children, said Governor Stitt. Following members of the legislature raising concern about the Roy G. Biv program at Oklahoma Children's Hospital, which offers gender-affirming hormone therapy and advertises to help find surgeons who perform gender-affirming surgeries according to their website, the hospital has pledged to cease certain gender medicine procedures. Governor Stitt says while that's good news, it does not go far enough and called for action next legislative session to ban permanent gender surgeries and hormone therapies on minors statewide. I am calling for the legislature to ban all reversible gender surgeries and hormone therapies on minors when they convene next session in February. We cannot turn a blind eye to what's happening all across our nation, and as governor, I will not allow life-altering transition surgeries on minor children in the state of Oklahoma. SB 3XX provides nearly $40 million in ARPA funding to increase and expand the capacity of behavioral health care for children, as well as $20 million for cancer patients who have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, and $44 million for electronic health record systems, and $5 million for mobile dental units. So this is essentially a spending bill for health care, for children's health care, and they've attached a requirement that if you want this money, you gotta stop butchering the children. I don't see anything wrong with this. I see this as a pure win. If you're part of the 1% whose children, the 0.01% who has a child who has a legitimate gender dysphoria, you're just going to have to leave Oklahoma. You're going to have to go to another state. You're going to have to travel in order to, in my opinion, put your children on irreversible drugs. So, one of the things I want to mention before we go further, there was an issue this week with Nick Rekieta's YouTube channel. I don't know how many of you are fans of Rekieta Law, but I would like to think that, a lot of the people who would follow me would similarly enjoy content that Nick Rekieta provides. And so, if you're not a follower of Nick Rekieta, go find Rekieta Law. But don't do it on YouTube. go to Rumble. Rumble.com. Now, I'm not going to sit here and spend a long time promoting Rumble and bashing YouTube. However, I do want to point out that my videos are syndicated to Rumble. And in the future, my big plan is to just move to Rumble and be syndicated on YouTube. Unfortunately, Rumble will only let you live stream if you're a paying member or if you have 100 followers. What does this have to do with Nick Rekieta? Okay, so Nick Rekieta has had this ongoing issue with, and let me go ahead and get rid of the previous story there. Nick Rekieta has had an ongoing issue with certain transgender activists on Twitter attacking his social media presence. He has been banned from Twitter. He has been he's had community strikes on YouTube. And he got his third community strike earlier this week. Now, that third community strike took down his channel. And he has been exclusively streaming on Rumble for 2 or 3 days. But as of yesterday, his YouTube channel was unbanned and restored. However, he has been reissued another 2-week suspension for that third strike. Now, if you ask me, if he already served a 2-week strike, a 2-week suspension for a previous strike, and you've now determined that that strike was improper and restored his channel, then he's already served his 2 weeks for this second strike, right? No, he's got to serve another 2-week suspension. So it's if you're wondering, the issue was strike number 1 was over a video showing somebody get stabbed. He analyzes video from a law perspective. He commented that don't be like this person. He wasn't glorifying the violence, but alas, it was too violent. YouTube struck him. Strike number 2 happened because he was commenting on a similar story to the one I was just commenting on, involving a Twitter transgender activist who had said something along the lines of they were providing hormone therapy drugs for minors without their parents' consent. To which he said, then you belong on the wall. That person then took to social media with a mass reporting campaign. Now, if you were to ask me, this is a harassment campaign. What we are talking about is a harassment campaign. But they issued a mass reporting campaign to tell social media companies that Nick Rekieta was, quote, calling for a transgender person to be lined up against the wall and shot. Now, remember, he said belong on the wall. Didn't say shot. This person said lined up on the wall and shot. You can interpret the wall however you want to interpret it, but he never said murder, kill, shot, none of those things. He was not calling for an act of violence. He never verbally mentioned an act of violence. You can interpret that in your head all day, but he never said those words. Anyway, after mass flagging, YouTube took him down. That was strike number 2. Gave him a 2-week suspension. While he was suspended, a secondary harassment campaign happened where these same people were sending ethics complaints to the Minnesota Law Ethics Board, Lawyer Ethics Board, trying to get his law license revoked. When he was restored to YouTube after his 2-week ban, he merely said, I'm going to read these. I'm going to read my fan mail on stream. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to dox us. And so they all reported him once again, third harassment campaign, saying, oh my God, he's going to dox us all. And reported him for doxing. So that's where we're at now. He was banned from YouTube, got a third strike. I guess one of the other strikes were removed. And so now he's got his channel back, but he's still serving a 2-week suspension on that third strike. He's still streaming to Rumble. And in solidarity, there are a lot of people who are trying to make the move from YouTube to Rumble because just like PayPal earlier, just like Twitter, just like all the things, the big tech platforms that everyone go to, they're trying to censor us. They're trying to determine who can hear a message. It's different. You could say, no, they're trying to say who can speak untruthfully. But that's not the case. It's not about who can speak untruthfully. It's about who can hear it. That's the important part. Who can hear it? They're assuming that you, the listener, are too stupid to realize when I'm being sarcastic, when I'm lying, when I'm spreading disinformation, or when I'm telling the truth. They think you're too stupid to figure that out. And devil's advocate, yes, there is definitely a segment of our population that will fall for anything. That will share the obvious lies, the thing that looks like a news story, but it's clickbaity bullshit. And I've even been that person a couple times. But it's up to us as a community to go down in the comments and say, hey, no, this is posted by Ian Miles Chong. It's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Ian Miles Chong. But, it's up to us to say, hey, this is the Babylon Bee. This thing isn't really, this is parody. This is a joke, or this is a fake news website. It's up to us to say no. It's not up to YouTube. It's not up to PayPal. It's not up to anyone to determine what information is worth hearing. Which Nick Rekieta earlier this week. So again, go to Rumble, find Nick Rekieta. Go to Rumble, find me. I usually don't show my address bar, but let me do this. I want to bring this up on screen here. Oh, and I still didn't actually show my address bar. So let's do this. I want you to see the URL, because you may have to write it down, because you can find me on Twitter. I've posted the link on Twitter. You can follow it there or here. Down in the description, you could kind of copy paste and delete some spaces, because you got to do that. YouTube doesn't let you link to Rumble. So you kind of got to copy paste, do the whole no spaces thing in order to find me on Rumble. All of this video and all my past live streams will be on Rumble. I can't go live on Rumble until I get 100 subscribers on Rumble. I can't go live. So, that's that. You could find me on Rumble. Go find Nick Rekieta on Rumble. An interesting thing he covered earlier this week was a news story. I forget what state it's out of, but The Onion. The Onion drafted a response, and I'm not gonna read it here. I'm not gonna cover the story. I'm just gonna tell you about it so that you can go find Nick Rekieta's video on it. The Onion drafted an amicus brief, a friend of the court brief, on a case in which a man had been arrested for impersonating a police officer because he made a parody Facebook account that appeared to look like his city's police Facebook account. So he made a parody of their Facebook account and was making joke posts like, breast cancer screenings in a police van, jokes about pedophiles. Obvious satire. So The Onion does this amazing, and again, The Onion has been crap. And again, I'm kind of repeating some of the things that Nick would have said in that video. It's crap. The Onion has been crap for years, but oh my, the way that they've talked about the history of satire and poke fun at the idea of law and judges in order to support this person because, they've since been released from jail and now they're filing a First Amendment violation lawsuit against the police department. It's been shut down on the district level, shut down at the appellate level, I think, or maybe this is the appellate level. Anyway, so this is an appeal that's been filed, and this is a brief in support of this appeal because this person's First Amendment rights were curtailed because he was arrested for satiring his police department. Think about that just for a minute. So, yeah, you got The Onion. I don't know what that had to do with what we were talking about censorship, but, parody, satire, it's all important. And this is one reason why it's important, because you can't even be a fake police department on Facebook without getting arrested. So, big tech, if you can't handle jokes, you can't handle satire, and you can't handle certain political persuasions without, banning people and censoring people, screw you. Wow. So, yeah, please, if you have time, go find me on Rumble. And subscribe to me there. So that way we can move this channel over to Rumble. If it takes too long, I may just, come up with the money and do it myself for the first month. But we're gonna have to really make this a self-sustaining channel. So, one final news story. This comes from The Blaze, and so, definitely not a neutral, which I've not, I've cited 3 conservative websites now here on this live stream. So, sorry. But this is coming from The Blaze. I'm trying to just cover things that I care about here and that I think you will care about. Florida Surgeon General recommends against mRNA COVID-19 vaccinations for men ages 18 to 39. Florida will not be silent on the truth. Today we released an analysis on COVID-19 mRNA vaccines the public needs to be made aware of. This analysis showed an increase risk of cardiac-related death among men 18 to 39. Florida will not be silent on the truth. Now, again, I have now My chair seems to have an issue. Sorry. Uh, Now, I am no longer in my 30s, so I would still be recommended in the state of Florida, but alas, I have not submitted. The U.S. the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, currently recommends that people remain up to date on COVID-19 vaccinations. You are up to date with your COVID-19 vaccinations if you have completed a COVID-19 vaccination primary series and have received the most recent booster dose recommended for you by the CDC. So I want that to be clear. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm giving nobody medical advice. I'm just telling you what the CDC and the Surgeon General of Florida has recommended for people of your age range. So we've went from PayPal jacking your money to the inverse Kramer trying to make you more money to Nick Rekieta getting yeeted from platforms to me trying to move platforms. And now we've had, certain medical recommendations, not by me, but by the government officials in charge of such things. So please, YouTube, I don't want to strike. I'm not giving medical advice. I don't want anyone to follow my suggestion. Do what your doctor and government tells you to do. Government tells you to do. Okay, so, which is something you're not going to hear me saying very often. And you're not going to hear me saying that for very much longer, let me say. But yes, do what your government tells you to do. Thank you, YouTube. But yes, consult a physician first. Consult your primary care doctor. So I can't believe it's only been 40 minutes and I've already burned through those 5 stories. I thought I would have more to rant on them. Folks, a little bit more on this idea of alt tech platforms. It's only alt tech because you're not on it. There are lots of people, including the former president of the United States, on those kind of platforms. There are entire communities where that's their primary source of information. Because YouTube is the colloquial, hey, did you see this video on YouTube? That can change. That can change if it's you saying, hey, did you see this on Rumble? Hey, did you see this on Odyssey? I love Odyssey, but it's going to take a while for me to get used to. I'm still trying to get used to Rumble. I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X or whatever, but I'm booming it up because it's still taking me a while to get used to the intricacies of how Rumble works. Once I've figured that out, I will probably expand to Odyssey, maybe even BitChute and other platforms. But I want to be very clear here. YouTube has been a great tool in our society, historically. And even before YouTube, when YouTube and Google Video were 2 separate entities, I used to use Google Video for everything. I would watch movies there. I would upload every documentary. I wouldn't necessarily upload them myself, but I would favorite all these documentaries. I used to have an entire... Dude, my MySpace account back in the day, I embedded the posters to all these documentary movies. And I had like 50 documentary movies just down my MySpace page. And if you had followed me on MySpace, all you had to do is go to my MySpace and boom, 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 boom. There's these, and then you click on it, boom, you're watching that movie. Aaron Russo's America from Freedom to Fascism, which I've pimped on this channel before. Boom, you see that little poster on my MySpace. You click it, boom, it'd take you straight to Google Videos to where you could watch the whole movie. And I had, Zeitgeist, the first one, not the second. The second one was commie propaganda. No, the first one, I had Zeitgeist, I had America from Freedom to Fascism, I had all the Alex Jones and Jason Burmis and Loose Change, and I had all those boom, 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 down my MySpace page where you could just click it and it'd take you straight to Google Videos, because Google Videos at the time were not interested in censoring a damn thing. Now you can't find any of those videos on Google, on any Google platform whatsoever. You can't find them on YouTube. I mean, there are a few of them you can find temporarily, like for a couple months at a time. They'll disappear. Somebody else will upload them. They'll be there for a couple months, and then they'll get censored again and disappear. So it's important for us to protect these alt-tech platforms and try to build them up and let them become the new thing we go to, because we cannot rely on all of our entertainment to come from one source. And one of the things I've noticed, they've got this movies everywhere service now. You go buy a Blu-ray at Walmart and it comes with a digital copy, and you enter the code, and that one digital copy, you can link your Google, your Amazon, your Vudu, your all these Apple. You can link them all to this movies everywhere, and it's all centralized. You have one digital. I mean, everything is just so centralized, and they all work together. And they all try to create a huge monopoly. I understand monopoly means one, and that this is more like a cartel type of situation. But it's centralization. Centralization is a problem. So being able to diversify even your own viewing experience. I'm not saying leave YouTube permanently forever and every day. Have some creators you follow on YouTube. Have some creators you follow on Odyssey. Have some creators you follow on Rumble. Have some creators you follow on BitChute. Again, I'm still trying to learn how a lot of these websites work. I just watched a documentary on BitChute the other day. Because it's really not available anywhere else. Because you can't find it anywhere else. There's one of my creators who was one of my favorite creators who was previously banned from YouTube and brought back to YouTube, but yet still censors himself on YouTube. I, Hypocrite, who was actually on the Rekieta show about a week and a half ago. And he's got a court case. I mean, go find that video on Nick Rekieta's. It's interesting. He talks about his court case and all the craziness happening with that. But Hypocrite has, this show he does every Sunday night that I've pimped before on this broadcast. But I watch that on Odyssey because he doesn't censor himself on Odyssey. He will, sometimes he'll stream it to YouTube. Sometimes he won't, depending on how spicy some of the content is. So I follow him on Odyssey. But a lot of other creators, I just follow them on Rumble because, quite frankly, I don't want to pay for YouTube Premium. I go to Rumble because I can click off the screen and turn off my phone, like turn off my phone's screen to where I don't have to watch the whole video. And Rumble has car mode, where you could just listen to it like it's an audio podcast. You don't have to continuously watch it on the screen and put it in your pocket and you're clicking things on your screen. Now, granted, if you have YouTube Premium, you could do that. But that's, a lot of people say YouTube Premium's worth it. Maybe I ought to do it eventually, but as of right now, I'm not too happy with YouTube because of what they've been up to. One thing I do want to mention, going back to the Nick Rekieta thing, I forgot, but I was just reminded because my own tweet was liked by somebody. There were 3 main people involved in the harassment campaign against Nick Rekieta. Really 4. And I'm not going to mention them by name. But none of those 4 people were on the list of names of people who sent in an ethics complaint to Nick Rekieta, or to the Minnesota bar, to try to get the law license of Nick Rekieta revoked. None of the 4 people who were leading the charge actually acted themselves. So, as wrong as big tech is, understand that it's your enemies who will organize a hate mob against you and won't even lift a finger to participate in it themselves. All they do is type a tweet, click send, and boom, expect all their followers to do everything they say. Pretty freaking ridiculous if you ask me. You don't have the guts. You don't have the guts. You don't have the guts to go after him yourself because you know that shit would come back on you like a boomerang. Again, that's I don't want to waste the whole damn show pimping Nick Rekieta or pimping other creators. The important thing is always look for an alternative. Right now, PayPal's the big thing in money, has been for years. But there are alternatives. I'm not going to pimp any alternatives. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, with your time, and your accounts. But always know that no matter where you are, what you do, what company you're doing business with, that company can just stop doing business with you at the drop of a hat, and there's nothing you can do about it. So always know about the alternatives. Always know that whoever you're doing business with doesn't have a monopoly on your money, your time, and especially your mind and your free will. You do what you want to do with your time, your money, and your effort. Now, don't go trying to defraud people and lie about it, right? Don't do that. But for God's sakes, your mind is your own. If you want to follow somebody into a scam, if you want to take that risk, that's your risk to take. And that's not up to PayPal to decide for me. That's not up to GoFundMe to decide that the causes I want to support aren't worth it. With all the things they did to the Canadian trucker convoy last summer. Or last winter. I don't know. Whenever that was. GoFundMe didn't have a right. PayPal doesn't have a right. YouTube doesn't have a right. And for God's sakes, Twitter doesn't have a right. Twitch, Streamlabs. I'll have an account. I'll take an account. I'll spread my message wherever I can spread it. But you're not going to tell me what I can think. Now, I did censor myself a little bit when talking about certain things earlier, and I issued some disclaimers on this stream, but for the most part, I said what I meant. And I'm going to work to make damn sure that future versions of this program, I won't have to issue disclaimers that don't necessarily represent what I'm thinking in my head. There comes a time when we all have to say enough, when we all have to say no. And when it comes to weirdos who want to harm our children and then run to big tech and say that we're the bigots, when it comes to people who want to take us out of the marketplace of ideas, who want to end our careers for things we say, for things we believe, we just say no. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to dictate my life. And if these people keep doing this, keep going after small channels, and this is the important thing to remember about the issue with Nick Rekieta. Nick Rekieta getting his channel back on YouTube is a big win. But the fight's not over. Nick is still banned on Twitch. Nick is still banned on Twitter. Nick is still banned on Streamlabs. And these people will continue to go after creator, after creator, after creator, after innocent people all over social media and all over creator-owned platform or creator-run platforms to get people removed, to make sure that they get silenced, because in the marketplace of ideas, that's the only way people will listen to weirdos. Is if it's in an echo chamber where nobody can stand up and say no. But they do it to enough people, and enough people get pissed off, and enough people stand up, and enough people say no, and we all unite together to say no. I won't let you do it to Nick Rekieta. I won't let you do it to iHypocrite. I won't let you do it to whoever the viewer is watching this right now. I won't let you do it to that umbrella guy. I won't let you do it to Yellow Flash. Ethan Van Sciver. I don't even like Ethan Van Sciver, but he doesn't deserve to be banned. John Delarose doesn't deserve to be banned. Let people have their audience. And if their audience is an echo chamber, so be it. If they're bigots and haters, so be it. As you know, if they're not advocating illegal activity or violence, so be it. And if they're influencing their local governments to act in a certain way, it's up to you. You, Mr. Weirdo. It's up to you to then go lobby your congressman and say, no, there are many of us who believe this way too. And whichever one is more logical in the marketplace of ideas will win out. And if you think you're morally correct, do it. But don't shut people up. If you think you're morally correct, then you should be able to withstand scrutiny. Free speech is the most important thing. And the Second Amendment to defend your right to free speech. But free speech is the most important thing to a free society. It's the most important thing for you, Mr. Weirdo. It's the most important thing to me. It's the most important thing on YouTube and on the internet. Without it, no one could say, hey, go to PayPal. PayPal wouldn't make that kind of money if it wasn't for free speech. And now they're trying to shut it down. Now YouTube's trying to shut it down. And all we have to do is say no. Anyway, so please, for the love of God, go to my Rumble channel. It's down in the subscription, or go to my Twitter. Click on the link there. Please subscribe to me on Rumble. Please tell your friends. Share this off platform. Leave me a message down in the comments of what I could do to make this channel more interesting. What I could do to gain your follow on either platform. And come back for the next live stream. You can do so by clicking that bell for notifications. If you have a smart device with a YouTube app on it, it'll let you know when I'm live. And that'll let you know that you should go to Rumble. So, and the last thing, subscribe. Click the subscription button on either platform, and I'll be in your subscription feed. I want to say thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being part of a movement that believes in free speech, that believes in protecting children. And again, I'm not a Republican. I'm not an uber conservative. I'm just a guy from the Midwest who has libertarian/conservative beliefs. And I want you to be free. I want you to make money. I want you to succeed. And I'm trying to do a little bit of that myself. So thank you for stopping by. I'll catch you Tuesday evening here on Mild's Culture Plate. Please come back for that. I will see you then. God bless you all.